नमस्कार, मैं डॉक्टर रामचंद्र, असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर स्ट्राइड, इग्नू, नई दिल्ली, राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति 2020 के कार्यान्वयन पर विश्वविद्यालय एवं महाविद्यालयों के शिक्षकों हेतु व्यावसायिक विकास कार्यक्रम के बैच 11 के 5वें एवं अंतिम स्वयं लाइव कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग सेशन में आप सबका स्वागत करता हूं। यह कार्यक्रम शिक्षा मंत्रालय, यूजीसी एवं इग्नू तीनों के संयुक्त तत्वावधान में चलाया जा रहा है। यह 6 डे STP यूजीसी अप्रूव्ड कार्यक्रम है जो API में उपयोग किया जा सकता है। इस कार्यक्रम के लिए समर्थ, स्वयं और स्वयंप्रभा चैनल का प्रयोग किया जा रहा है। आज के सेशन के विषय विशेषज्ञ के रूप में हमारे साथ है अंतर्राष्ट्रीय एवं राष्ट्रीय ख्याति प्राप्त विद्वान प्रोफेसर संतोष पंडा, निदेशक दूर शिक्षा स्टाफ प्रशिक्षण एवं शोध संस्थान स्ट्राइड, इग्नू, नई दिल्ली, जो इंदिरा गांधी राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विश्वविद्यालय के वरिष्ठतम प्रोफेसर हैं। सर इससे पहले चेयरपर्सन नेशनल काउंसिल फॉर टीचर एजुकेशन NCTE, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया, डायरेक्टर एसोसिएशन ऑफ इंडियन यूनिवर्सिटीज AIU, डायरेक्टर डिस्टेंस लर्निंग सेंटर यूनिवर्सिटी साउथ पैसिफिक फिजी, सीनियर फुलब्राइट स्कॉलर USA रह चुके हैं। प्रोफेसर पंडा आज स्वयंप्रभा लाइव सेशन में NEP 2020 एंड टेक्नोलॉजी एनेबल लर्निंग, पॉलिसी इंक्लूजन, पेडागोजी एंड कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग टॉपिक पर अपना व्याख्यान देंगे।
Friends, welcome to this program, live conferencing program on NEP 2020 and technology enabled learning. We will focus primarily on some of the policy aspects, inclusion, pedagogy, and capacity building. As you know, NEP 2020 is very formative after almost 35 years that we have this policy in the country. The policy was promulgated in July 2020, and since then, of course, the COVID started and almost every institution got into online teaching and learning, which the policy has highly stressed upon. And during that time till date, the policy has been largely implemented in the country. Many state governments have come forward to design their education system, starting from preschool education to up to research and professional development and vocational education and training. Quite a few areas that you see on your screen is multidisciplinary education, which the NEP 2020 is talking about, and it has given a formulation where recently the University Grants Commission has come up with the 4-year undergraduate program. The University of Delhi has already implemented 176 credits undergraduate 4-year program, and the first semester has almost been completed now. The UGC is 160 credits, so multidisciplinary education will be discipline core, areas from especially skill courses from other disciplines. It will also talk about environmental education, value education, vocational education and training, and language, art, and so on and so forth. So multidisciplinary education is the focus of the NEP 2020, and education has to be holistic to address all the dimensions of human personality, physical, emotional, psychological, ethical, spiritual aspects. There is multiple entry and exit that, say for instance, a 4-year undergraduate program After first year certificate, 40 credits, because the National Credit Framework 2022 has come up, which subsumes all the NSQF, National Higher Education Qualifications Framework, School Education Framework. So NCVAT and UGC have come up with this, obviously with the ministry, they have come up with the National Credit Framework, in which 40 credits, almost 1200 hours of input per year will be put in. So first year, 40 credit certificate, one can go back to the world of work and come back to complete the second year diploma, 40 credits more, and then get the diploma, come back again to have a 3-year undergraduate program, again go back to work, and if one wishes to continue for research, come back for the 4th year, and one will get an undergraduate degree with research. After 4 years, one can directly get into PhD, or one can continue a 1-year master's program, or one can get back to the world of work. So all put together, 160 credits, 40 credits a year, 1200 hours of inputs. It talks about midway course correction, that a student can change the discipline, the area of study in between also. We will focus on technology-enabled learning or blended learning here. Recognition of prior learning is a prime concern for National Credit Framework, which will be applicable to all levels of education in the country, equivalent to the qualifications and the standards. The qualifications and the standards have been defined at 8 levels over there. So please go through this document, the National Credit Framework, which is now implemented as the national framework in the country. So recognition of prior learning, because credit framework talks about 3 kinds of learning that it will recognize: academic, vocational, experiential, or on-the-job training, or the prior learning. So credit transfer will be possible, and all these credits will be earned by the student, will be deposited in the academic bank of credits, provided a student's institution and the student have registered in the National Academic Bank of Credits. And the institutions and your students, they should immediately register in the Academic Bank of Credits, so that they get the chance and the benefit of accumulating their credits, continue their staggered study, go to the world of work and come back, and also accumulate the credits, and credit transfer is also possible. Equivalence of courses and qualifications, it talks about, and most importantly, it talks about mobility between general and vocational education and training, which are parallel systems in the country today, and therefore there should be both horizontal and vertical seamless mobility and credit transfer between these 2 streams of study. The undergraduate program, it talks about a flexible curricular structure, integration of STEM instead of STEM. It talks about STEAM, science, technology. Earlier it was science, technology, arithmetic, science, technology, arithmetic, and mathematics. Now we're talking about science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. Earlier it was science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So instead of STEM, it will be now STEAM. Industry academia linkages, insofar as vocational education or skill-based courses are concerned, that, as you know, that as per UGC regulation, now universities have come forward to appoint professors of practice who do not have PhD, but who have qualifications equivalent to professors in their business, industry, and the world of work or specialized area of work. They would join the universities, colleges, and along with professors, they will together develop vocational education and training, because they are more competent than, of course, the teachers in designing specialized areas of skill-based courses. Multiple entry and exit, that we have already discussed. Community engagement and service is a compulsory component. Research and internship. Internship is a compulsory component over there. Environment education and value-based education. Indian language, culture, and art. And skill courses. And of course, education will become multidisciplinary and holistic. Credits, the National Credit Framework 2022 talks about the credits and the Academic Bank of Credits. The credits, 15 hours of classroom teaching, 1 credit. In distance learning, it used to be 30 hours of students learning. Here it is 15 hours of classroom teaching for 1 credit over a 12 to 14 week semester. And the rest of the 15 hours, because a credit is 30 hours, So 40 credits, 1200 hours of a year is standardized today in both formal education as well as distance online learning. So therefore 15 hours of classroom teaching by the teacher, and 15 hours will be by the student activities and student engagement in tasks, student presentations, students seminars, students debates and sports activities, extracurricular or co-curricular activities. Open distance learning, 30 hours of students learning, which remains and continues so, and 1200 hours a year. In one semester, there will be 20 credits. So as I said, 1 credit is 1 hour of teaching per week over a 14 or 12 weeks of semester, or 2 hours of practical, or 3 hours of experiential learning. So 1 hour of theory will be equivalent to 2 hours of practicum, will be equivalent to 3 hours of experiential learning, or credit transfer based on the prior experience in the world of work. So National Academic Depository, ABC, Academic Bank of Credits, and institutions and students must register in that, and 50% minimum credits to award a degree. Any institution that the student will do 50%, that institution will award the degree. So we will proceed more towards technology-enabled learning because this presentation is on that. Friends, as you see on your screen, NEP is talking about blended learning. Almost, as you know, 40% of credit hours today in higher education, a student, provided their institution has approved in their statutory bodies, including academic council, that a student can take 40 credits from the SOEM online courses, or MOOCs as you would like to call them. 40%, earlier it was 20%, now a student can take 40%, and 60% is face-to-face. Therefore, already our teaching learning is blended. But basically it's talking about blended teaching learning. Face-to-face will do more face-to-face and less of online and distance learning will be doing more distance and online and less of face-to-face skill development. So it talks about 3 modes of delivery which can be blended by the professors in their curriculum design. The first is student learning, self-learning. The student self-learning, that the students will be learning by themselves. This is what is called Swadhyay, and this Swadhyay is much less today, both by students and teachers, because of technology developments. You would say that this is the hazard of technology. Because of technology developments, everybody is depending on technology. And now this metaverse and many others that have come up, ChatGPT and everything that the computer will produce for you, and there'll be no copyright problem. And but it reverses that by simply saying that our skill or competency to do self-study, Swadhyay, self-regulated learning, there should be some credits given to that. Both the students and teachers must study. That should also formulate part of the credit hours. The second kind of credit hours could be face-to-face. In face-to-face education, it will be more. In distance learning, it will be less. There will be tutorials, discussion, seminar, hands-on, apprenticeship, and internship. These could be diverted to face-to-face credit hours. And projects, problem-based learning, portfolio-based learning, case-based learning, assignments, collaborative engagement, discussion among the groups, they all can be credits can be transferred towards online collaborative learning. So therefore 3 kinds of learning in TEL or blended learning that the NEP is proposing: self-learning, face-to-face hands-on, and online collaborative engaged learning. These formulation that is coming up, you should seriously consider these, and your curriculum design should consider these 3 aspects, and your entire credits, 40 credits a year, 160 credits 4-year undergraduate program, accordingly should be allocated to these 3 delivery modes. There can be varieties of blended learning structures as you see on your screen, and you can stop and view this later. There can be face-to-face online activities, largely face-to-face online activities and quizzes, and there can be some tasks given for homework. It could be online and face-to-face combining together. There can be flipped classroom, that the teaching is mainly in the classroom, but there can also be lecture videos possible and students can be given homework. This is called a flipped classroom. There can be self-blending, that the face-to-face class additional online courses that the students can take, which can be micro-credentials or the MOOCs courses, blended MOOCs, and there is a flexible model called a hybrid model. Now let's get into technology-enabled learning. Giving this brief background and introduction, let's proceed to TEL, technology-enabled learning. The first is policy. As you all know that we have already in the school sector a national policy on ICT for school education, which had in 2008 and which proposes, and therefore the entire country has implemented that. NCERT, CIT is the nodal agency to implement that and to follow it up, to monitor, to provide feedback, to do capacity building. That simply says that there should be partnership between central and state government, between state and state agencies. There should be establishment of smart schools. Teachers' capacity building needs to be developed. E-resources, especially e-content, needs to be developed, which are already in place. You could go through the national policy as well as the CERT, Central List of Education Technology, NCERT website, and plenty that you will get over there. And this is an implemented scheme already based on a national policy. But when it comes to higher education and professional education, we have NEP ICT, which is a mission, but which is not a national policy, by the way. So this is a national mission on education through information and communication technology. This brings in a whole lot of technology application forums into that. I have listed a few, the prominent ones. For instance, the SWAYAM platform, the SWAYAM Prabha. We are combining the Samat platform, the SWAYAM and SWAYAM Prabha. All three are forming part of the NEP ICT. The National Digital Library, NDL, which is already in place, e-library in the country. Spoken tutorial, which is a video-based, audio-based tutorial system for different languages. F4SSEE, which is already in place. Virtual lab, virtual internship. Virtual lab was there, but virtual internship, recently AICT has come up with almost 3,000 plus virtual internships free of cost for education institutions to utilize for their students to go through internship, though this is virtual. E-Yatra, which is basically robotic system to learn complex model building and hands-on insofar as professional education, computer science and engineering, these are concerned. So therefore, friends, to clear this point, that for the school we have a national policy, for higher education we have a national mission under which these and many others are functioning, that are listed, that you see on your screen. But what we need is, then therefore the national education policy is underlining that what we need a technology-enabled learning policy. Though we have open and distance learning and online learning policy 2022 finally, which is in place and which institutions are implementing for offering distance learning, online learning and blended learning programs vis-a-vis the University Grants Commission. But we need a technology-enabled learning policy, and since the entire education system, especially higher education and professional education, is going to be blended, and therefore we need a national blended learning policy. That will also include a seamless 24/7 credit transfer for, depending on the need-based, there will be credit-based courses at different levels of qualifications. I've talked about 8 levels of national credit framework. They have defined 8 levels of qualifications, and there can also be micro-credential courses. And many institutions today in this country and internationally, they're available. The larger version is the MOOC, and the smaller version is a micro-credential, which are largely skill-based and competency-based. These can also join in insofar as blended learning policy is concerned. Now, let us go to the second point of inclusion, because NEP is talking about inclusive education. Inclusion would largely, of course, as we generally think, it will refer to varieties of almost 21 disability areas that 2016 PWD Act has been talking about. But there are also other areas of inclusion that NEP is talking about. Beside disability area, the other areas are the social disadvantage. Constitutionally, it has been defined that women, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, other backward castes, rural areas, tribal areas, remote areas, hilly areas, they're all deprived and economically backward, because 10% of the reservation by the government of India in this country is for the economically backward students, 10% reservation. They are also now falling. Earlier they were not in the constitution, but now they are falling under what is called disadvantage. Therefore, inclusion will also take care of that. Inclusion also will take care of diversity in culture, diversity in language, diversity in the socio-cultural system within the classroom, even if we are teaching at a distance. And online learning, especially inclusion and online learning, is a very complex thing that needs to be addressed very carefully. So therefore, inclusion will also include that. Inclusion will also include that some students who are slow learners, some students are fast learners, and therefore there should be strategies made available to the teachers and students. So therefore the gap between the slow and the fast learners or deep learners could be bridged. So therefore inclusion would refer to, or would rather necessitate, supporting infrastructure provision at the institutional level insofar as TEL is concerned. That institutions must be equipped with infrastructure and maybe supported by the federal government as well as supported by the state government, even the local bodies, even philanthropic by industries, business, philanthropy organizations, they could also support that. The second, there should be state and institutional support system, that if the teachers and students want to do something in the institution, the system, the national system, the state system, the local system, and the institutional system, so far technology is concerned, should support them. So far disability is concerned, assistive technologies and learning resources should be made available for those who are visually impaired, mentally retarded, or hearing impaired, and so on, and learning disability, and so on. 21 disability areas that PWD Act is talking about. And also there should be awareness and competency development to bridge the learning gaps, as I was talking about, through ICT. ICT should facilitate if one student, because twins learn very differently. Two individual students are not the same. Their learning style, learning strategy, pace of learning, and the depth of learning and understanding would differ. And therefore, ICT could be the best intervention insofar as within one individual student, if there are learning gaps, that gaps could be fulfilled by ICT. And between individual students and between groups of students, if there are gaps between slow learners and fast learners, ICT should bridge that gap. What we can do, we can develop bridge modules, remedial modules, and I was talking about micro-credentials. These and many others that you can think of, they should come in to facilitate insofar as exclusion is concerned, to make teaching learning more inclusive. And these are all should be activity-based. This should also be interesting. This should also be student-learner friendly, and this should be engaging and collaborative. These are the words that I'm using that will make, those will make teaching learning more interesting, and the quality of student learning will increase. NEP, by the way, is talking about three kinds of combination for curriculum design. It talks about theory, practicum, intensive. The curriculum should be divided into three, and it talks about almost a 50-50 formulation, that 50% theory, whatever we are teaching, and 50% will be practical application in terms of practicum and internship. Pedagogy, as you know, pedagogy is nothing but teaching and learning, the strategies of your teaching and strategies of student learning. So this is what we call pedagogy. It could be face-to-face, distance, and online, blended. But 5 areas that I have listed, they should form the part of your curriculum design and design of teaching learning strategies. How do you transmit information? Information and concept transmission is very important within the classroom, through lecture, through other methodologies, at a distance learning, at a distance online learning. Technology would be coming in both within the classroom as flipped classroom and distance and online learning. Certainly technology in terms of audio, video, radio, television, teleconferencing, and web-based teaching and learning could be prime technology interventions. I will show a PowerPoint on the tools, open source, free of cost tools available for varieties of tasks that we teachers and students can do. The second is interaction, that there should be interaction between teacher and students and among students. That interaction will enhance the quality of learning. 3, collaboration, that when students do joint projects, do tasks together, they collaborate face-to-face or online. I was talking about 3 kinds of blending: self-learning, face-to-face hands-on, and online collaborative learning. This collaboration could be, even if one is teaching face-to-face, this could be collaborative learning that the students can do at night and the evening, the collaborative projects or cases or portfolios among their own peers. And bring back to the next morning to the classroom for the teacher to discuss or to make presentations and so on and so forth. So transmission, interaction, collaboration, reflection is very important, friends. Reflection, जिसको कहते हैं गौर करना, that simply means that you are reflecting on something which is going on and reflecting after that task has been finished. These reflective tasks will enhance the quality of learning and make students' learning more self-regulated, and therefore higher order metacognitive learning would be possible. And finally, the NEP, I will show a PowerPoint to you. NEP is talking about that how we must, as teachers, the old teacher-based subject-centered assessment that is going on, this should be now problem-based and project-based assessment, and how assimilation has taken place, and therefore our assessment and examination strategies should change, should improve, and a whole lot of things that NEP is talking about. And very recently UGC has come up with examination, evaluation, innovation strategies, which you must also go through, that how students have experienced, and therefore it is talking about largely portfolio and case-based learning. So friends, as you see on your screen, your curriculum where technology can intervene is your curriculum mapping, learning outcomes, student activities, and authentic assessment, where technology can be very highly helpful. Assessment that NEP is talking about 3 kinds, almost 1 kind that was going on, assessment of learning, this is a summative assessment. Assessment for learning in terms of tutorials, assignments was going on, but this should be increased more for remedial purposes and to provide, to design additional resources, to provide additional inputs by the teachers. And the third kind of assessment that is talking about assessment as learning. That simply means while students are doing their activities, the teachers will also assess the students' learning. So for instance, it stresses more on that, and therefore many countries with high standards of education are doing that. We need to bring that into all kinds of education that we are teaching, learning that we are doing. This is called a portfolio. It talks about case-based learning, scenario-based learning. It also talks about project-based learning, problem-based learning, and finally, portfolio-based learning. Portfolio has become essential in terms of professional education and job requirements, job promotion. Portfolio is a must. Cases, management, law, they teach by cases. Case is most important for management and law. Portfolio has now to be brought into almost all areas of teaching and learning. In terms of practicum, that the students can be given portfolio, and when they would engage in portfolio, what is a portfolio, by the way? Portfolio is nothing but a student's record or reflective record of one's own activities, setting the problem, how they have addressed that problem, how they have solved that problem, any constraints that have been faced, how they have addressed those constraints, and how the learning outcomes have come up, and what is the level of that learning outcome. The entire student experience based on that, their achievement, and their innovative problem solving insofar as that task or that area of study is concerned, is called a portfolio. And there can be different kinds of portfolios available. You can Google portfolio and get to know that. Assessment is learning, that NEP says that it should increase more, and therefore technology can make an intervention, of course, in assessment of learning, assessment for learning, and certainly assessment as learning. We conducted a postgraduate diploma e-learning which got a Gold Medal award in the country by the Honorable President of India as an ICT innovation. This was a postgraduate diploma e-learning. The kinds of pedagogy that I've listed here, you could consider that how different learning theories, behaviorist, cognitivist, constructivist, and now they would call connectivist theories Please go through these whenever you find time, how they could be applied in designing and delivering your online program. So for instance, at direct instruction, we provided virtual class, we made virtual presentation, virtual interaction, and there were open education resources. We will call them as behaviorist or instructivist. We used Google Group. Google Group, as you know, which is a formal platform. Informally, people have been using it, but we used that as a formal strategy to have mentoring through Google Groups, which is a constructivist, and we included that in the assessment also. We provided authentic tasks in the Moodle project. Moodle is an open source LMS, learning management system, and that was constructivist. Reflection on practice, we used qualitatively the discussion forum, which was a very creative process because every student wanted to design, develop, deliver, and evaluate and submit any area of study that they would like to do in agriculture, rural development, business management, school teaching, or NGO, or anything that they would like to do, and present that as their project on the Moodle platform, and therefore reflection on practice was possible. And finally, e-portfolio that we used, which can be developing self-regulated learning and more reflective learning. Friends, please give a thought to this. You might also think other alternative strategies to do that. Friends, we are into open education resources. Open education resources, everything that is available on the internet is copyright, friends. Please don't tamper it. Everything, I repeat, available on the internet is copyrighted unless they are declared under the legal authority, international legal authority called Creative Commons. So copyright is C, and double C is Creative Commons, which is copyright free. So open education resources are those print, audio, video, graphics, animation, data, and web-based resources which are declared under Creative Commons, called open education resources. So open education resources, you could also be used. I will show you some of the legal aspects, how the attribution is done. But we are also moving from the traditional teaching learning vis-a-vis open education resources to what is called open education practices. Open education practices would simply mean that the teachers and students are openly, transparently, flexibly engaging themselves in, students are part of that curriculum design, content design, teaching learning strategies, ICT intervention, student tasks, and assessment strategies. In all these areas, when students are joining together with the teachers, that simply means learner-generated content, that the students will be generating content themselves, which the teachers could also use, other students could also use. So the entire pedagogy, entire teaching learning will become more open when students will join in, and there is a use of open education resources also. For instance, that you see on your screen, this is Creative Commons. There are 4 kinds of attributions to those materials, or audio, video, or YouTube, or whatever that you are using. If these 4 attributions, any of these is available, that would be declared as an open education resource. So BY, the first one, that credit is given to the author. So BY is common. So CC is common, BY is common. CC-BY. That simply means the author has been credited. NC, that simply means don't make money, that this is non-commercial. Once it is written NC, you cannot commercially use it. If it is not written NC, you can also use those resources commercially. ND, no changes, non-derivative. ND is non-derivative, no derivative, no changes are possible. You have to use those materials as they are. You cannot remix, you cannot revise, you cannot do that. So you have to use those materials as they are. And share alike, SA, that once you remix an open education resource with your content and you come out with a final product, you have also, since those materials were declared as OER, double C, you have to compulsorily declare your new product as or a unit or an audio or a video or a web-based resource as share alike or double C. So therefore, friends, BY, NC, ND, and SA. These are 4 kinds of attributions that you see in Creative Commons or open education resources which you can use. Now friends, some time on pedagogy. Now, NEP is talking about, and therefore we need to seriously consider, because students also learn from each other, but students learn by themselves. You learn for yourself, I learn for myself. You don't learn for me, I don't learn for you. It's very simple. But then we can learn from each other. But I learn for myself, you learn for yourself. But we learn from others, from teachers, from textbooks, from students, from the community. So therefore, there is a need for, insofar as technology can do these, a personalized learning environment and personalized learning network. We need to develop that. Right now, there are many, but we do not have a national system where this personalized, student-oriented personal network can be created, which can be protected, which can be confidential. If the students want it, that can also be made transparent or can be made public. And we also need that network that NEP is talking about, that we need to create a national network. I will discuss after a few minutes. So therefore, active learning, that learning has become very passive. It has to be activity-based, experiential, collaborative, engaging. This technology can do. Artificial intelligence-based customized feedback is also possible. There is no need for a teacher. The machine itself, this is what is called a machine learning, and whole lot of artificial intelligence-based teaching and learning. That automated feedback system could also be possible. We are not focusing on mastery learning. Mastery learning would also include creative and innovative learning. So mastery learning is not happening, and therefore technology could also facilitate mastery learning, and it could accelerate students' learning. In terms of both quantity of learning as well as quality of learning, it's possible. Resources, MOOCs on non-existing curriculum areas. CBSE, starting from CBSE, NCERT, UGC, AICT, and other regulators. Medical Council has now become a commission, that all these who have been prescribing curriculum and textbooks, that some of the areas which are not available over there, which are latest areas, which are very helpful, which are competency-based areas, some of these new areas that one can develop MOOCs and e-resources, which can be useful, shared by institutions at different levels of study, first year, second year, third year, fourth year, undergraduate, postgraduate. 21st century learning competencies talks about communication skills, leadership skills, technology skills, and so on and so forth, creativity skills, innovation skills. All these 21st century skills should also be, e-resources could be developed, and which can be contextualized into our context. So therefore, discipline-based, subject-based pedagogic models that we need, engineering, medical, management, IT, social sciences, humanities, they would need different pedagogic models, and therefore we need to develop, this is what is called a technology pedagogy, TPEC, technology pedagogy, technology content pedagogy models. So we need to develop which kind of technology can facilitate what kind of pedagogic applications to teach what kind of content. That is what is a discipline-based pedagogy, and therefore technology could intervene in discipline-based pedagogy. So therefore pedagogy and technology, according to one's discipline and subject areas, we need to develop models and best practices. Artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality, metaverse, these fall into one category. The other one is big data, data mining, and learning analytics. These are very much possible insofar as technology intervention is concerned when we get into online teaching and learning. These need to be brought into application where the teacher's workload will be reduced, the students will be more engaging, and collaborative learning will increase. Pedagogy for blended learning, flipped classroom, we need to design those models based on different discipline areas, some of the best case studies. Social technologies and networks like your Facebook, your Twitter, your WhatsApp, and there are many other networks available which can be brought forward to teaching and learning, including an SMS, general simple SMS service through your phone. Content creation, curation, and distribution is seamlessly needs to be done. So therefore, friends, as you see on your screen, all these MOOCs, you call them as MOOC, massive open online courses, but the question comes up whether they are open. They are massive online courses, edX, Coursera, FutureLearn, OpenEd, Udacity, and based on edX, for instance, our SWAYAM platform has been developed but we are sort of, there are critics who would say they are massive online courses, whether they are really open. Simply because, I will come to the next point, these are called XMOOCs. Our SOM4 quadrant, which is a national platform which is benefiting many, 3,000 plus courses are available, 193 courses from IGNOU itself, and they are doing very well. That they provide the LMS, they also talk about learning outcome, video lecture is another quadrant, the assignments, computer marked, tutor marked, especially quiz-based assignment, discussion forum, additional resources, and small-scale learning analytics is possible. We are offering our 1.5 million, 50 lakhs teacher training college and university based on these SOM platform, and we are handling, Dr. Chandra, who is with me, is handling these, that the learning analytic they are doing themselves. But this is what is called an XMOOC, which is more linear, more behavioristic, less flexible, and certainly it is not based on the principles based on which the MOOCs were developed. This is what is called a connectivist MOOC. This is what is called a CMOOC. Professor George Seaman and Professor Stephen Downes, they initiated the first MOOC in 2008, and their first MOOC in the world, the first MOOC in the world was a CMOOC. This is what is called a connectivist MOOC. That they talked about collaborative, engaging, interactive, creative. These four, if you try to apply to the SOM platform, that will also become a C or a collaborative, engaging, interactive, and creative platform, because the platform already exists. There should be learner choice of content. The students should create content themselves. There should be learner autonomy or student autonomy in their own learning, which is very much possible in technology intervention. Diversity in tools, possible. Interactive, cooperative learning, community of practice or collaborative learning, project-based learning is possible. Open pedagogy, open sharing, open education practice that I talked about is possible. Social media, especially blog and wiki, you can use it. Blogging is a free of cost. Blogging is an individual reflective practice. I write my blog, you can react to that, and that will give me feedback. I will reflect on that. Wiki is a collaborative platform. We students join together and develop something on the wiki, and everybody learns from each other. So therefore, these social media, social networks should be used for this. Meta-knowledge generated through community, that the students will generate high order of knowledge which teachers can also use, and this is both self as well as collective reflection possible. SOM platform, the course, what we need is a content management system too. When you get into SOM platform, you might be going through this SOM course also, and you would realize that we need a content management system. We need a system of pre-entry knowledge testing, and when a student completes and there is a knowledge testing, and there is a difference between pre-entry and the post or the exit knowledge difference. Interaction and collaboration need to be built into. It has to be activity-based, cases, scenarios, project portfolios that need to be brought into. We need an embedding system of proctoring, because it could be an AI-based, artificial intelligence-based, intelligent proctoring system, that the machine or the system itself will provide feedback, but this needs to be embedded into that proctoring as well as mentoring system. Content indexing is extremely essential, and data privacy and security, of course, needs to be maintained. Friends, we are about to conclude. There is a need for a technology-enabled learning platform. You might be listening to these days, hearing that there is going to be a national digital university to be established. The submission here is that, of course, this will be a hub and spoke model, that it will be the centralized agency, and many sub-agencies or institutions, they will join together to create content, to curate content, to deliver content. Some would be busy in assessing or assessment of student learning, and some would be busy in teaching and learning itself. Of course, it is distance, online, or blended. What we are suggesting is that this could be considered as the National Nodal Resource Center for institutions, teachers, students, and so far as technology-enabled learning is concerned. NEP has already talked about, and therefore this platform has already been established, National Technology Platform for Seamless Curriculum-Based Courses Credits Transfer. That is also necessary. Technology integration and integrated use of TEL. Technology is being used as supplementary or complementary. It is not being implemented so far. It talks about National Education Technology Forum, NETF, which has already been established. NETF could be the National Nodal Agency. In fact, it is. Induction, deployment, use of technology, it can also do. It can provide leadership to institutions, states, and the government, central government. It can create evidence-based knowledge, research, best practices in diversified discipline areas at different levels of study, undergraduate, postgraduate schools, and so on and so forth. It can develop a variety of educational software, especially for remote students, isolated students in all languages, especially for, it talks about for the Divyang students, differently abled, or you generally call them as disabled students, Divyang students. This is a more sophisticated and highly respectable word, Divyang students. They are capable in diversified areas, and the technology should also facilitate that, especially assistive technology should be facilitating that. You already know that Diksha is existing, digital infrastructure for knowledge sharing, which NCERT is coordinating. Almost 522 crore users with 9,569 courses available, and almost 17 crore students have been enrolled in that, which is a content and interaction platform, e-content and interaction, diversified discipline areas, subject areas at the school level. NDEAR of the Prime Minister, Government of India on National Digital Education Architecture. So this is called National Digital Education Architecture. This is a federated and interoperable between the central government and state government, and between the state government system. Texts, online courses, interactive projects, question banks are available over there, and many are using these in the country. The varieties of media tools for finding content, for updating content, for creating content, for sharing content, for building networks, and for communication and interaction. I have listed, they are free of cost. They are open source tools, media tools are available, and your institution should use these tools and develop competency of teachers and students to use within the classroom or even at a distance and online learning. Capacity building is extremely essential. The capacity building needs to be, we have HRDCs and other AICT-based institutional capacity building, and in the different professional areas it is going on. Distance learning capacity building is going on. But we need one system of capacity building in the country which is system-based, which is process-based. It can talk about varieties of teaching learning processes, including assessment, product-based, experiential, as well as capacity building of teachers. It should be experiential based. The students must engage in those activities to learn how to do. Training for motivators and mentors, which is very much essential, because training on motivation itself is essential. The use of technology-enabled learning, motivation is for teachers as well as students, as well as institutions and leaders to get into technology-enabled learning. We also need institutional networking for technology-enabled learning, facilitation, exchange of best practices, and maybe if the resources are available with the defined credit hours, defined competency and defined needs, then it can also lead to self-professional development, that the teachers themselves, and leaders, they can themselves get into learning from those resources. We also need funding for infrastructure, networks, learning resources, capacity building, and human resource development. This is just one example that the platform that we are using through Samarth. This is the Samarth platform, CPD, Professional Development Program of NEP 2020, that is going on right now, the conferencing. This is the platform. When you register, you might have gone through this platform. This is a combination of Samarth, SWAYAM, and SWAYAMPRABHA. Samarth for registration, SWAYAM for teaching, learning, presentation, and assessment, and SWAYAMPRABHA for interaction, which is a chart-based interaction. Right now, you are connected to YouTube. You might also be sending your questions. And different URLs or the online links are given there for registration, for SWAYAM, for SP Live, for Samarth, trial run video, and the entire video system that we have 31 videos available on SWAYAM and 60 videos from the SWAYAMPRABHA conferencing, which are edited and put on the SOIM platform of NEP, and course navigation, how to navigate a video is also there. This is just a sample, and the picture that we see, the day one, our Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Nageswara Rao, myself to his left, and Director, the Center for Online Education, Professor Parad, to his right, and that was the presentation, first presentation insofar as in August this program started. This is a continuing professional development program on NEP 2020. There can be many more in this direction. So friends, thank you very much. I have completed. Let's get into if you have any questions on this presentation. Thank you.
एक बार पुनः आपका प्रश्न आंसर सेशन में स्वागत है। पहला क्वेश्चन है, हाउ कैन ICT गेट इनटू टीचिंग लर्निंग इन कॉलेजेस एंड यूनिवर्सिटीज?
देखिए, एक सवाल जो आपने रखा है कि ये जो इंफॉर्मेशन कम्युनिकेशन टेक्नोलॉजी हमारा टीचिंग लर्निंग में कैसे जा सकता है। पहली तो बात है कि हमारा, जैसे मैंने बात किया, नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी भी उसकी बात कर रहा है कि हमारा एक नेशनल सिस्टम हो सकता है नेशनल डिजिटल यूनिवर्सिटी वो प्रोवाइड करें एक नेशनल प्लेटफॉर्म या SOIM प्लेटफॉर्म, NMEICT which is now established at IGNOU. NMEICT, as I showed you, it comprises a whole lot of including Samat, SOIM Prava, and a whole lot of platforms that it has. So this may be also aggregated towards development of a national system. अगर वो national system हो, जो infrastructure हो, networking हो, और मुझे connectivity दें, और उसके साथ साथ मुझे प्रावधान ये करें कि seamlessly जब भी हम चाहें, flexibly teachers and students can enter, can come out. Of course, the courses will be credit based, they will be need based, they will be level based. And now national credit framework आ गया, so therefore they have to be qualification based, that they have to be equivalent insofar as qualification standards are concerned. There are two words, standards and qualifications. जो qualification है first year, second year, third year, कोई subject area में, उसका अपना standard defined है, वो standard को हमें achieve करना। Standard means quality of student learning outcome. Student जो learning outcome जो सीखते हैं तो उसका standard. So therefore वो भी हो, ये तमाम चीज़ें नेशनल नेटवर्क और नेशनल प्लेटफॉर्म हमारे पास हो, और उसमें हमारे हिसाब से रिसोर्सेज अवेलेबल हो, और हमारा संस्था और उसमें जुड़े हुए हो, इंक्लूडिंग एकेडमिक बैंक ऑफ क्रेडिट्स, कि हम उसमें रजिस्टर्ड है और हमारा स्टूडेंट्स जो हैं सीमलेसली वहाँ से कोर्स ले सकते हैं, और कोर्स लेंगे तो कोर्स क्रेडिट उसकी खाता में चला जाएगा एकेडमिक बैंक ऑफ क्रेडिट्स, और वो जब भुगतान करना चाहे उसको रीइंबर्स कर सकता है। ये सिस्टम जो है हमारे पास हो, पहली बात। दूसरी बात हमारे पास हो कि ये जो टीचिंग लर्निंग स्ट्रैटेजीज है टेक्नोलॉजी का, जैसे मैंने सब्जेक्ट बेस्ड, टेक्नोलॉजी बेस्ड, पेडागॉजी की बात का, सभी सब्जेक्ट आपस में अलग है और टेक्नोलॉजी इंटरवेंशन अलग हो सकता है। उसके जो फ्रेमवर्क्स, मॉडल्स, उसमें बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस, ये हम लोगों का केसेस डेवलप हो ताकि हम उसमें ओरिएंटेड हो और उसी तरह हम उसको अप्लाई करने के लिए कोशिश करें। सो टीचिंग लर्निंग रिसोर्सेज, स्ट्रैटेजीज इंक्लूडिंग असेसमेंट स्ट्रैटेजीज, टेक्नोलॉजी किस तरह इस्तेमाल करना है उसको, जो मीडिया एंड टेक्नोलॉजी टूल्स में आपको दिखाया, जो ओपन सोर्स है, फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट है, लेकिन उसको इस्तेमाल कैसे करें। ब्लॉग एंड विकी की मैंने बातें की, विच आर वेरी रिफ्लेक्टिव टूल्स, प्लेटफॉर्म्स, उसको भी यूज किया जाए। अगर ये सारा प्रावधान हमारे पास हो और हमारा कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग हो टीचर और स्टूडेंट्स का, और मेरे सामने प्रावधान हो, मैं एज ए टीचर क्लासरूम में जाऊं या डिस्टेंस में पढ़ाऊं, तो मेरे को कोई दिक्कत नहीं होना चाहिए। मैं किसी प्रकार के रिसोर्सेज को किसी तरह, किसी रूप में, कोई एक्टिविटी में उसमें शामिल करूं और स्टूडेंट के साथ एंगेज हूं, स्टूडेंट्स आपस में भी एंगेज हो, मैं किसी टास्क दूं और वहीं से वो पढ़ के वो टास्क करें, जो प्रोटेक्टेड हो और जो ट्रांसपेरेंट हो और जो पकड़ सके कि ये प्रोक्टेड हो, कि स्टूडेंट कहीं से कॉपी नहीं किया है मान लीजिए। तो ये प्रावधान सारे हो तो हम टेक्नोलॉजी को इंटीग्रेट कर सकते हैं। टेक्नोलॉजी इस वक्त सप्लीमेंट्री या कंप्लीमेंट्री यूज में है और NEP कह रहा है इसको हम इंटीग्रेट करेंगे। और इंटीग्रेट करने के लिए स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम ए नेशनल सिस्टम एंड नेटवर्क्स और इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोविजन, और उसमें फंडिंग भी हो, हमें इंस्टीट्यूशनल फंडिंग हो थोड़ी बहुत कि हम टेक्नोलॉजी को इस्तेमाल कैसे करें, चाहे वो PPP मॉडल में क्यों ना हो, पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप में वो भी हो सकता है। तो ये तमाम चीज़ें साथ होगा। हम थोड़ी बहुत टेक्नोलॉजी इधर उधर इस्तेमाल तो करते हैं, लेकिन लार्ज स्केल हम तभी इस्तेमाल कर पाएंगे हमारा पेडागॉजी अपनी सब्जेक्ट ओरिएंटेड हो और स्टूडेंट और टीचर कॉम्पिटेंट हो, और जब भी चाहें वो सिस्टम में आए जाएं और उसको इस्तेमाल करें, जिसको बहुत पुराना ज़माने में रीयूजेबल लर्निंग ऑब्जेक्ट कहते थे, तो हम उसको, और जो क्रिएटिवली कर सकें, और द स्टूडेंट जनरेटेड कंटेंट होगा। दिस इज व्हाट इज कॉल्ड ओपन एजुकेशन प्रैक्टिस। सारे स्टूडेंट तो नहीं, कुछ स्टूडेंट्स हैं जो बहुत ही बेहतरीन कंटेंट या टास्क या एक्टिविटी करते हैं, वो सब कहाँ जाता है? अगर वो नेशनल रिपोजिटरी में शामिल हो, अदर्स कैन ऑल्सो विथ कॉपीराइट क्लियरेंस, अदर्स कैन ऑल्सो यूज दैट, वो बहुत बेहतरीन होगा। बिकॉज हमारा टीचिंग लर्निंग ज़्यादा थ्योरेटिकल है, ज़्यादा एंगेजिंग, कोलैबोरेटिव और एक्टिविटी बेस्ड नहीं है, और इंटर्नशिप तो है ही नहीं, पोर्टफोलियो का तो सवाल ही नहीं उठता। सो देयरफॉर ये तमाम चीज़ें आए और ये चीज़ें प्रैक्टिकली इन्वॉल्व हो, प्रैक्टिस एक्टिविटी बेस्ड, एक्सपीरियंशियल। चाइनीज एक प्रोवर्ब है, आई हियर, आई फॉरगेट, आई सी, आई रिमेंबर, एंड फाइनली बोलता है आई डू, देयरफॉर आई लर्न। आप करने ही सीख पाएंगे, नहीं तो उसके बारे में जानकारी तो ले पाएंगे, लेकिन पूरा इस्तेमाल करने के लिए सीख नहीं पाएंगे। सो टेक्नोलॉजी इसमें बहुत बेहतरीन मदद कर सकता है।
थैंक यू सर। अगला क्वेश्चन है, व्हाट पॉलिसी इंटरवेंशन आर नीडेड?
आवाज करके बोलिए।
अगला क्वेश्चन है, व्हाट पॉलिसी इंटरवेंशंस आर नीडेड?
पॉलिसी इंटरवेंशन की हमने बातें की। नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी इटसेल्फ इज पॉलिसी इंटरवेंशन। उसके साथ साथ हम लोग ये चाहते हैं कि नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी का बहुत सारे रेगुलेशंस, गाइडलाइंस, UGC और नेशनल क्रेडिट फ्रेमवर्क, NCVT, स्किल मिनिस्ट्री, ये सब लाए हैं। मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एजुकेशन इसके ऊपर काफ़ी काम कर रहा है, ला रहे हैं। लेकिन मेरी मानना है कि एक नेशनल पॉलिसी आया, उसके साथ साथ हम देश में एक ICT या ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग पॉलिसी हम उसको करें, जो सबको प्रोफेशनल एजुकेशन, जनरल एजुकेशन, वोकेशनल एजुकेशन एंड ट्रेनिंग, उस सभी को मान्यता हो, और जो फेस टू फेस में पढ़ा रहे हो, डिस्टेंस में, ऑनलाइन में कर रहे हो, सभी में आपस में क्रेडिट ट्रांसफर हो और उसमें प्रावधान हो। तो ये पॉलिसी इम्परेटिव उसमें बहुत ज़रूरी है, एक ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग पॉलिसी। एक इंस्टीट्यूशन लेवल पर हम सभी को ओपन एजुकेशन रिसोर्स पॉलिसी लाना पड़ेगा। अगर इंस्टीट्यूशन में हम OER पॉलिसी नहीं है, हम OER को यूज नहीं कर पाएंगे। एंड एट द इंस्टीट्यूशनल लेवल देयर इज अ नीड फॉर, जो नेशनल पॉलिसी ने कहा है, टू डेवलप एन इंस्टीट्यूशनल डेवलपमेंट प्लान, IDP। IDP ये तमाम चीज़ों को सामने रखते हुए, नेशनल पॉलिसी को सामने रखते हुए इसको करेगा। और नेशनल पॉलिसी जब इम्प्लीमेंट हो तो उसमें इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, ट्रेनिंग एज वेल एज फंडिंग की प्रावधान हो। तो ये कुल मिला के एक पॉलिसी इंटरवेंशन जो नेशनल पॉलिसी किया है, बहुत सालों के बाद एक बेहतरीन पॉलिसी आया है, लेकिन उसको निभाने के लिए बहुत चीज़ों की ज़रूरत है, जो हम लोगों ने बातें की। इनपुट, प्रोसेस, आउटपुट में जो शामिल हो, तो वो तमाम चीज़ें इसकी ज़रूरत है।
सर अगला क्वेश्चन है, हाउ टेक्नोलॉजी कैन बी इंटीग्रेटेड इनटू टीचिंग लर्निंग बाय द टीचर्स?
टेक्नोलॉजी आप अपनी क्लासरूम में या डिस्टेंस ऑनलाइन लर्निंग में ब्लॉग एंड विकी की मैंने बातें की, उसको आप इस्तेमाल करते हैं। स्टूडेंट्स कैन राइट ब्लॉग्स फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट एंड दैट शुड बी पार्ट ऑफ योर टीचिंग लर्निंग क्रेडिट आवर्स। उसकी असेसमेंट हो, उसमें ग्रेडिंग हो, स्कोर दिया जाए। कोलैबोरेटिव एक्टिविटी वीके में करें, उसको भी दिया जाए, स्कोर दिया जाए। डिस्कशन फोरम, गूगल ग्रुप आप इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं, जिसको हम लोगों ने इस्तेमाल किया और उसके ऊपर बहुत बेहतरीन कम्युनिटी ऑफ प्रैक्टिस डेवलप किया स्टूडेंट्स के बीच में, और उसको हमने स्कोरिंग किया, ग्रेडिंग किया, उसमें क्रेडिट आवर्स दिया, शामिल किया। बहुत सारे टूल्स हैं, सोशल टेक्नोलॉजी नेटवर्क, फेसबुक, ट्विटर, व्हाट्सएप, इसके माध्यम से आप पढ़ा सकते हैं और जिसमें बहुत सारे एक्टिविटीज स्टूडेंट्स कर सकते हैं। और कई टूल्स मैंने आपके सामने एक पावर पॉइंट में नोट डाउन किया, आप उसको जरूर ध्यान दीजिएगा। वो टूल फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट है, उसको आप इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं स्टूडेंट्स के साथ मिलते हुए। सम ऑफ द एक्टिविटीज, सम ऑफ द प्रेजेंटेशन, सम ऑफ द स्टूडेंट टास्क्स, सम ऑफ द असेसमेंट स्ट्रेटजीज कैन बी डन थ्रू दोज टेक्नोलॉजीज। टीचर किसी न किसी रूप में, खास करके फेस टू फेस क्लासरूम में, फ्लिप्ड क्लासरूम में टेक्नोलॉजी को इस्तेमाल कर सकता है। क्लासरूम में पढ़ाते वक्त कोई यूट्यूब में कुछ बेहतरीन बढ़िया यूट्यूब है, उसको आप कनेक्ट किए, स्टूडेंट के साथ उसको पढ़े और उसको देखे और उसके बाद चर्चा की और उसके ऊपर एक स्टूडेंट एक्टिविटी दिया, स्टूडेंट फिर नेक्स्ट डे ला के प्रेजेंट किए। बहुत सारे इंटीग्रेशन इस तरह हो सकता है। सो फ्रेंड्स, आई थिंक वी हैव कंप्लीटेड द टाइम and thank you very much for this, and I request Dr. Ramchandra to conclude, please.
थैंक यू सर आपके ज्ञानवर्धक सेशन के लिए। और आप सभी पार्टिसिपेंट्स डिस्कशन फॉर्म के 15 MCQ और 35 MCQ फाइनल टेस्ट के, जो आप स्वयं प्लेटफॉर्म के लेफ्ट साइड में सबसे नीचे की साइड में है, वहाँ जाके और 1 से 3 मार्च तक आप कंप्लीट कर लें अपना टेस्ट। Thank you.
Hello learners, welcome to this video session today. My name is Furqan Qamar. I am professor at the Center for Management Studies in Jamia Millia Islamia. I also had the privilege of working as Vice Chancellor of the University of Rajasthan and the Central University of Himachal Pradesh. Also served as Advisor Education in Planning Commission and as Secretary General, Association of Indian Universities. Today, I'm going to discuss and speak on the issue of the importance of research and what are the prerequisites for promoting high quality research in higher educational institutions. I'm sure that you all must know, or you will already be knowing, that universities have 3 interrelated functions that they need to discharge. The first function is that they need to generate knowledge. This is what makes universities different from school education. Universities are not only into the business of communicating knowledge or transacting knowledge, but they are essentially aimed at generating new knowledge, opening new frontiers, adding to the existing body of knowledge, and these are all the functions of research. These we do through research. Of course, the second important function of the universities are that you communicate, you transact knowledge for the benefit of your learner, and essentially it should ideally be a partnership between research and teaching. And in that case, the teaching becomes very relevant, directly appropriate, and contemporary, enabling students to become able to solve real life situations. So that should be the focus of the teaching. The third dimension of the research is that whatever universities do, either through research or by preparing students through their teaching abilities, the universities should be able to contribute for the general development, social and economic development of the communities nearby, and also for the larger good of the whole nation and of the world as a whole. So thus teaching, research and extension or community engagements are important component of higher education. Amongst these three, many experts consider that research is most critical and most crucial dimensions of a university life. You take away research from the universities and universities would be anything but higher education institutions. Now there are certain details that we need to see as to why research are important. Now, these days, everybody speaks about the national education policy and what it prescribes. We know that the National Education Policy 2020 is targeting to take the participation rate in higher education from the present 27% to about 50% by 2035. The National Education Policy also aspires to have a system of education that India is second to no other country in the world. Now, India would be second to no other countries in education only if India is able to produce original research, see that these researches are monetized, these researches are commercialized, and they lead to not only the registration of patents, but they also lead to the commercialization of those patents. It is therefore not surprising that the National Education Policy 2020 mentions the idea of research and importance of research in over 37, 38 pages out of the 6-page document. And a number of academic reforms initiatives that it proposes is also aimed at promoting research in higher educational institutions. Now, the essential of the research that when a country or when a university is able to produce better high quality research with the help of their teachers and also with the help of their research scholar and other students on the campus, we could say that there are some prerequisites which need to be addressed. And these prerequisites are essentially classified into three broad groups. We need faculty, we need funds, we need freedom, and all of these three dimensions have also been emphasized in the National Education Policy. Let's first take funds as a prerequisite. Research today has become very, very expensive proposition, particularly in the disciplines of science and technology, where you need to set up labs and other infrastructure for conducting your research and doing your experimentation. Not only that, a general infrastructure development which makes or creates a good teaching learning environment on campus plays a very critical role in motivating people. These days, we see that many universities world over also provide incentive, often either through speedy promotion or through monetary incentives to people who publish high quality research. So all of these things taken together need money, need resources, need funds. And the National Education Policy talks about the creation of a National Research Foundation. The idea of the National Research Foundation as given in the National Education Policy is that it will provide access to funding for research on a competitive basis. People who aspire to conduct research in certain areas need to apply to the National Research Foundation, and National Research Foundation would sanction or provide adequate amount of funds to enable the university and the faculty to take up the area of research of his or her choice. The policy, in fact, makes sure that this National Research Foundation will provide funds over and above the funds which are already provided by many other existing institutions like the University Grants Commission for General Higher Education, the DST, DBT, and CSIR for scientific research, or by any other funding agency that exists at the moment. They will continue to provide funds, but over and above, this National Research Foundation would provide additional funds. This National Research Foundation shall have a corpus, and out of this corpus, this money would be provided. So fund is a very critical aspect for promoting research. The second thing, which is all the more critical, if you have all the funds available, but if you do not have capable people to take up research, then despite the availability of funds, the researches would not take place. Which are the critical resources? These are the human resources, and primarily these resources comprise of the teachers or faculty in higher education. About faculty, there are a few important things which need to be kept in mind, that we need adequate number of teachers in a university, and in that way for the nation as a whole. I think the adequacy of the teachers is measured usually in terms of the student-teacher ratio or student per teacher. If we analyze that what are the student-teacher ratio for the best world-class universities around the world, we find that this ratio varies between 8 to 12. Our national education policy has not prescribed any specific number of the student-teacher ratio, but it says that student-teacher ratio should not become too high. Because higher the student-teacher ratio, the teachers are more busy in the teaching activities than taking up research. So presently we have about 28 million or 2.8 crore students in higher education, and we have about 18 lakh teachers. So you can calculate the number of teachers per student or number of students per teacher. And in India, in higher education, our student-teacher ratio is still higher. And that is where the policy says that that number should not be high, that number need to be kept within a certain limits. So policy prescribes about the adequacy of the teacher. In addition to the adequacy of the teacher, what is critical is the quality of the teacher. And from the quality of the teacher's point of view, the draft national education policy was more specific, and it said that no teacher should be appointed on ad hoc or contrary or on guest faculty basis. Rather, the teachers should be properly appointed, properly recruited on full-time basis, so that right from day one, they could be engaged into their teaching, research, and extension activities. So quality of teachers are that the teachers are with suitable qualification in terms of the norms that has been prescribed for each department. At the same time, the quality of the teacher is also decided on the basis of their dedication and commitment to engage effectively into the teaching and research activities. So the focus should be on attracting the best talent that is available. Of course, I cannot say that the best talent, because the best perhaps is not a term which will apply, because we have to select people from within the talent pool that is available within the country. And what is that talent pool? The people who have qualified junior research fellowship or NET examination, or have completed PhD, or have qualified the GATE examination. These are some of the tests that determine the quality of the teacher, and it is only these people who are appointed. Many institutions also give some weightage, some preference to some foreign training by the students so that they could bring in the best techniques from anywhere in the world. So quality and the commitment of the teacher is extremely important. And the third dimension for creating that ecosystem is freedom, which in the academic circle is also known as the idea of the university autonomy. When we say autonomy, that does not mean autonomy or freedom to do whatever an individual or whatever a university wants to do, but the consensus on the definition is that by autonomy we should mean the freedom to do what we are expected to do. So what a university is expected to do? The university is expected to do teaching, research, and extension activities. And to be able to do these things, the universities need freedom, need autonomy. And that is why we see that over a period of time, there have been a lot of discussions and deliberations as to how to make universities free and autonomous. Of course, the other side of the coin is accountability, and quite often, policy planners insist that autonomy is fine, but then the universities should also be held accountable. Now, how do you hold a university accountable? One way could be that you hold teachers and researchers of the university accountable on the basis of whether they follow certain laid down processes and procedures or not. But I think the best accountability could be ensured through whether they have been able to produce the output and the outcomes. So move from the procedure-based accountability to outcome-based accountability, and provide the institutions and provide the individual faculty and researcher the freedom to do research on an area of their preference, of their choice. Sometimes linking research to immediate needs of the society and immediate needs of the economy may not be a good idea, though it might appear that it makes researchers more relevant. But then in case of fundamental research, foundational research, you find that quite often the researchers themselves do not know that what will be the practical applications of research unless a long time has elapsed and then somebody realizes that no, the finding of that research could be used in these activities. So funds, faculty, freedom. Prior to national education policy, lately the government itself have been emphasizing on that if we cannot give autonomy to all institutions, we shall give autonomy to some select institution, and therefore the idea of the graded autonomy came in. So like IIM's acts were changed to make them fully autonomous and all the decisions be taken on the board level. Similarly, it was said that those which are A++ graded or A+ graded institution by the National Assessment and Accreditation Council, the national education policy also emphasized at many places about the idea of this university autonomy, and that we think need to be implemented. Once these things are in place, then there are certain other things which facilitate research or academic research. One thing perhaps I did not mention before, that unless a department or unless a unit of the university has critical mass of the faculty, that does not generate interest in research. So every department need to have at least a minimum number of prescribed faculty so that they have a critical mass. Second thing is, like it was emphasized earlier by many policies, and now in this policy, that we cannot find solution to any single problem facing the world or even facing an individual or facing a nation by the knowledge of a single discipline. So this compartmentalization of knowledge is not good for research. New ideas come in when the boundaries between the disciplines are porous, to cite the word that Professor Yashpal used in his report on revival and rejuvenation of higher education. There should be intermingling of disciplines, so that in an intermingling of discipline, people get new ideas and they explore further and they create new knowledge and they add value to the existing body of knowledge already been attained. Now the researchers come at the fringe or at the corners of disciplines. So like you are seeing that all those technological advancement in information communication technology, in the medical sciences, in the diagnostics, in the medical implant, etc., you are finding that they are coming due to interdisciplinarity, intermingling of science, engineering, technology, and of course the commerce and businesses would also come into play when it comes to commercialization of these ideas. So focus should be on producing kinds of people with multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary orientation. And that is where the national education policy comes into picture, where it insists that all higher educational institutions need to be multidisciplinary. Now, India is one such country which has largest number of institutions, more than 1,000, close to about 1,100 universities, and more than 51,000 colleges and standalone institutions together. That makes the single largest system found anywhere in the world. But an overwhelming proportion of these institutions are a single discipline college or a single discipline institute. So the policy talks about making colleges and institutes and universities of the large in size, taking them to a minimum of 3,000 to 5,000 enrollment. There should be many disciplines, many departments in a college, so that people are able to pick and choose from many disciplines. And then the remaining 2 years or the next 2 years they spent diving deep into a discipline so that they specialize and super specialize in that area. So I think the policy works on this philosophy of enabling students to have a taste of many subjects and then focus on a particular discipline or a particular subjects for completing their education. This will make a holistic individual. This will make an individual which has outlooks that goes beyond a particular discipline. So multidisciplinary becomes very, very critical and important for promoting research. So increasing the number of research scholars and research students is very, very critical and very, very essential. And it is the partnership of the faculty and the research scholars that many new publications come out of the system. So the focus should be on enlarging the base of the research scholars on the campus. While world over, even undergraduate education has become research-based, where students are required in a supervised mode to take up some research, start thinking about research, start doing, if not a very high-cited publication, but some publications. And in case of the postgraduate education, the research component should be increased more. The idea is that most of the people who do their post-graduation and PhD, they are likely to be either in research organization or in the academics. And that is where training them, exposing them to the field of research becomes very, very important. So I think we need to expand postgraduate education, we need to expand PhD level education, and we need to integrate research component certainly in the postgraduate courses, but also to the extent possible at the undergraduate level to create a culture. I think I would like to conclude by saying that there is one point that worries us. You must have all heard. And that point of worry is that despite being the largest system of higher education, how come that there are very few institutions from India which are appearing amongst the top 200 list or top 100 list of the world-class institution or the best ranked universities? The measurement for categorizing institution as world-class gives a very high component to research. So I think we need to focus on research to enter into the league of the best institutions of the world. Also, at the same time, a question that often worries us, that how come that most people who have got Nobel Prize in literature, in economics, and in sciences from India, barring two exceptions, all of them left India after their first degree or even after their second degree and pursued their further training somewhere else in the world. And by working there in the universities and academic institutions in those countries, that these people got their Nobel Prize or the highest honor which any academics can ever think of. Now the question is that why can't we in India create an ecosystem that if we have people with such a good brain that they could get their Nobel Prize by working abroad, why can't we have that ecosystem that these best brain are able to win Nobel Prize by being in India and by producing research of such a world class that makes an impact and that makes a difference. So Indian minds per se is not bad. There is also no dearth of any talent in India. Indians are willing to work hard provided we are able to create conditions and facilitate their research aptitude. My whole purpose of this lecture was to involve you in this aspiration that make India world class in terms of the number and outcome and impact of research. One example that you could understand that in India there are about 18 lakhs teachers teaching in higher educational institutions. If everybody produced even one paper every year, then India's research output would have been about 18 lakhs research paper per year. Our real and actual numbers are far less than what it ought to be. So I think we need to work hard to create this research culture and create that ecosystem where everybody takes pride and everybody wishes to contribute in this research process. With these words, I conclude my lecture and thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Namaste. Today I will speak on governance of higher education institutions. We all know NEP 2020 talks about holistic development of educational institutions. How holistic development of educational institutions will happen? It depends upon the quality of teachers, the quality of infrastructure, the quality of leaders, the quality of academic as well as administrative leadership, and the environment. The quality of textbooks which are available, the quality of projects we are talking about, and at the same time, how we are looking at education. Education, actually, it's so simple. It is a human making process, how to make a man a perfect human being, how an educated person should work with the development of the nation, how the development of a nation is connected with education, how education and its peripherals like textbooks, teachers, classroom deliberations, the quality of students, the quality of library, the quality of ICT which are available, the quality of sports infrastructure, yoga culture, music art, the science, the laboratories, how they are connected with the development. Yes, they are connected with the development because development is not only money, development is not only construction of building, construction of roads, construction of dams, or making something that we are very rich, we are affluent, we are good. Development of a nation is development of human being. Development of human being depends upon the development of education, the quality of education, the quality of teachers, the quality of textbooks which they are speaking about. Whether our textbooks are speaking about 60% of our population who are living even today in villages, the water bodies, the lakes, the pokers, the trees, the agriculture activities, the quality of farmers, their health, their food habits are all related to the development of the nation. The nation itself is identified with the people, identified with the students, identified with the healthy women folk. How a state, how a nation is caring old age people, how a nation is caring about transgenders, the old age people, how are being treated by a nation, how transgenders are playing an important role in the development of a nation. The leadership, academic leadership as well as administrative leadership has to talk about the untouched domains of the educational system. Education is not making money. Education is not making only technology. Education is not making only furnitures or buildings. Education is making all. Education is distribution of food, equal food system to everybody, distribution of education to everybody, distribution of health care to everybody. Who is uncared, untouched, has to come into the fold of education. It's only possible from a great academic leadership. How we can build an educational institution? It's very easy. We can build educational institution with the help of our own heart. Then only head, then only the knowledge, then only it will come the rules of principles of administration. As Gandhiji once said, a leader should be supported by his own heart, supported by the ethos of his own society, the values of his own country, how the Indian values, Indian ethos are always kindful towards the have-nots. How it is possible? It is only possible these things should be laudable in our textbooks. Our textbook should be in our mother tongue. I am in the firm opinion of that. Pre-primary education to university education should be in our own mother tongue, should be in our own national language. And then only we will make wonders in education as well as in research, because the technology, the science doesn't have any language. That we linguist people, we language people will make science, will make mathematics, will make chemistry, will make physics in our own language. Then we can make it translated into other world class languages, because the original thinking, the original thought process will be in our mother tongue only. So, we need to focus on mother tongue education. We need to focus on mother tongue classroom debate. We need to focus on mother tongue research in our own mother tongue. The world class research institutions, they are making research in their own mother tongue, for example, China. So then we should come from our own silos. We should come up from our silos that we should make, because English, yes, we need English, but English is not everything. English is not mathematics. English is not science. English is not music. English is not yoga. Yoga is yoga. To learn yoga, we need not to know any language. We should be able to know the yoga. To prepare a food, Indian culinary art is not English or is not any language. It is an art. It is a skill. It is carpentry. It is yoga. It is music. It is tabla. We need to learn that skill. The training of our own students, the training of our colleagues has to take very seriously about mother tongue education, mother tongue training, mother tongue research, and mother tongue conversations in classroom and debates in public debates also. Because through mother tongue, we can make wonders. Our students of our nation, we're all struggling to learn English. We are struggling with a foreign language. We are struggling with a language where its roots are not enrooted in our culture. Then our culture is enrooted in our mother tongue. So we should understand, thanks to NEP 2020, thanks to our Honorable Prime Minister, they are talking about mother tongue education. Our Indian scientists now they are focusing on research in mother tongue education. So mother tongue education, classroom debates, and a leader who is talking about education development, nation development, institutional development, that conversation must be in mother tongue only. Then only our stakeholders will come to know the cent percent zeal. They will come to know the essence of our conversation. The essence, what I would like to convey a message to my colleagues, it's only possible in mother tongue. It's only possible in our own language. A leader should understand the legacy of our Indian languages. A academic leader should know the legacy of our heritage of our Indianism, Bharatiyata. How Bharat is great, how Bharat was rich, how Bharat is scientific, how Bharat is hardworking, how the women folk is hardworking. The revolutions, the white revolutions, the white flood revolutions, the green revolutions, or production revolutions, they are all possible only because of women folk. It is only possible because of the people from the rural background, the people from tribal background, the people from slum background, the people from hard zone areas or hard working people. How tribal students are very good in sports. Why they are very good in sports? It's need not to be researched because it's open, because they have been trained by the mother nature to be hard. They have been trained by the habitat, by their own jungle, that they have to be strong to live. Now education, now the nation should utilize the DNA of tribes to make a sports university in the country, dedicated sports university in the country, so that we should be able to give a message to the world. One can make their future even in sports, even in wrestling, even in running, even in high jump, even in long jump, even in tabla, even in harmonium, even in yoga, even in Indian culinary art, even in singing, one can make wonders. Yes, we need to know technology, we need to know medicine, we need to know nanotechnology. Before that, we need to know Indian music, we need to know tribal medicinal system, we need to know the knowledge system of our own mothers and sisters and nanimas and dadimas. Educational institutions and their leaders have to understand Bharat, have to understand our nation through its roots, how rainwater system has been a technology in our own country. A person who is a farmer, who is a very small land holdings, but he knows rainwater harvestment, and how they know how to preserve the forest, preserve the food, preserve the wealth, preserve the natural resources. These things should come into educational system, should enter into textbook, should be part of our classroom deliberations to make our education, to make our classroom deliberations vital, make very vibrant. It's only possible if we teachers should be are ready to learn more skills, more education, more subjects and more dimensions of education, because language is most important. Indian languages are most important languages, but at the same time we should be able to make a bridge between Indian languages. How translation plays an important role to make a bridge between these languages. And I would like to assure you all, even the great administrators of the best institutions of the nation, that industry is going to grow a big industry, bigger than any industry now. So how we are ready to make the students, how we are ready to make our human resource to take up this job opportunities. We have to think about the World Economic Forum, which is talking about new skills of the world. Within 10 years, how new skills are coming. After 20 years, how new skills are coming and jobs are vanishing. By end of another 20 years, World Economic Forum, according to its survey, says that 9 crore jobs are vanishing. In their place, machines will be available to serve the humankind. Now our education leaders should think how we can make a future out of this crisis. Crisis always create futures. Crisis always create opportunities. We educators, we leaders have to be ready to train ourselves. At the same time, we have to be ready to train our own teachers, to train our teachers in modern technology, to train our teachers in modern skills, to train our teachers in new domains, where opportunities are, endless. Opportunities are seamless. It's only possible if the vision of a academic leader are very clear. If he is visionary, if he can see the future, how it is changing, how technology is going to change, how textbooks are going to change, how the psychology of parents, how the society is going to be changed, how the psychology of the society is going to change, what are the necessaries, what are the demands of our industries, and how their demands will be changing within 5 years, how they are going to change in 10 years, and how the academia, how our textbook, how our research are preparing themselves. It is the lookout of a academic administrator. Academic administrators, we should be always ready to learn. We should be ready to learn the success stories of our neighborhood, the success stories of our habitat. Examples should not be given from foreign countries. Examples should not be taken from American countries. We should be able to produce success stories out of our neighborhood, out of our villages, how a villager has made wonders by growing tomato, by growing mangoes, Alfonso, how lime grower made pickle industry. These small interventions of the society will have a great impact on the students as well as teachers. So we teachers, we administrators should be able to always vigilant towards our habitat skills and neighborhood success stories. So we need to train ourselves in our mother tongue. We need to train our mindset to be always ready to learn, ready to open, ready to accept the hardcore truths of the future, the needs of the industry, the needs of the society, how society is going to change, how internet is making business. Only through internet, transport companies, how they are making business. Only with the help of internet, how other companies, business companies are making shelter to people. Without having a hotel, without having a home, without having a space, how business avenues have been abundantly made available. It's only possible if we are able to make the internet as part of our business, as part of our education, as part of our administration. We need to know the importance of Wi-Fi. We need to know the strength of our own students, the strength of our seamless strengths of our own teachers, and the parents who are now talking about only engineering education, only talking about only medical education. We need to train them. We need to convince them. Music is also equally important than medicine or engineering. And sports also equally important, because sports keep us fit as well as our heart and head. And now the government of India, now the world is going to make a future even in sports. It's only possible if administrators are always able to research on the neighborhood skills and neighborhood whereabouts. And at the same time, we have to keep an eye on the changing moods of our institutions, changing moods of our own teachers, changing moods of our own textbooks, changing moods of our society, changing moods of our catering industries, service industries, changing moods of our computers, changing moods of our laptops and mobiles, and at the same time, changing moods of our birds of our campus, changing moods of our flowers, changing moods of our green leaves. If an administrator, an academic administrator is vigilant, ready to learn, and ready to be practical, more practical, ready to think the future, and he or she will be very much successful, because through the opportunistic view, through a vision that going to make wonders in the future, it's possible to make today only, create today only tomorrow's opportunities. It is only possible through a visionary leader. My friends, we all know, world is changing, time is changing, the rainy seasons are changing, the sunlight, the moonlight, the trees, the flowering, the fruitery are changing, food habits are changing, living habits are changing. But we need to be strong with the Indian ethos of our own society. We need to understand the concept of Rama, the concept of Dharmaraj, the concept of yoga, that do well and you will get the well. Do good things, you will get good things. Do always, follow always the best things. Don't follow crossroads. Don't go for making money very fastly. If I do as a academic leader, if I follow these things, my teachers will follow, my deans will follow, my head of the departments will follow, my young teachers will follow, and students also will follow. My dear friends, we must understand, my words will not be trusted by the society. My words will not be, my preaching will not be trusted by my corps, trusted by my colleagues, will not be trusted by my students. My activities, my doing will be seen and followed by my friends and my society, as well as even my own children. So the great poet Kabir Das said, Kathini and Karni must be one. The words and the doing must be one. My friends, let us believe the philosophy of India. Let us believe the great sayings by the great saint Vivekananda, that education is to make the poorer happy. Education is to give food, shelter to the people who doesn't have. It's only possible if we are able to give a quality education to our young generation, then they will be able to give the best education to their futuristic students and to their children. So let us, with the help of NEP 2020, with the help of National Curriculum Framework, with the help of our own ethos, our own myths, and a charity of our nation, as Gandhiji once said, knowledge and hand should go together. Then only we can make wonders in India. Then only we will be able to make India a great futuristic India. My friends, education should be able to make the student to do something. He or she who got educated in our institution should be ready to make with their hands one or the other thing, because preaching is not only education, preaching is a small part of education. Doing is also a big domain of education. So, Kathini and Karni should go together. At the same time, knowledge and hands should work together. This is the essence of our education. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.